I would be incredibly surprised if MBR get all the way through this draft without the Nunu, without the tank jungler. Over on the Flash Wolves side, the reason we both just freaked out is because this is
Oh my
Sona
gosh.
yet again. They've run it 3 games in a row, and this game it's actually quite dangerous because MBR have a really good late game composition between the Varus, between the Ziggs. They're going to be able to poke away at Sona Seraphine, or at Sona Lux, sorry. And that's really worrying, I think, for Flash Wolves. If they draft this playstyle into MBR, MBR will go with the Nunu here, and then I want to see them pull out one more assassin, probably a Riven in the top lane, if we can see that, a Riven in the top or jungle, presumably top lane. That would give me a lot of hope here, and I would frankly think the Flash Wolves are in trouble for this game number 4. We will see the Nami again as the support. They're saving, so the reason you go Nami here is because that gives you counter pick for the final picks here. So Flash Wolves are going to lock everything in, and they're not going to know what this top laner is until the very end. So MBR are going to have that advantage.
Now this time around, there hasn't been a Jarvan locked in for MBR, so Flash Wolves feel a bit more confident taking the Olaf at this rate, because despite all the crowd control, the tidal wave, the chain of corruptions, the Hextech minefield, and even the snowball, you can run through it all with Ragnarok, and the Riven's gonna come through, or Onion King.
I mean, I'll say it. I think Flash Wolves have lost this draft, Rafa. Yeah, they have the Olaf. Yeah, they have a ton of mid-game power. But if Flash Wolves don't win in the mid-game, I don't think they win this game at all. They have a window from like the 10 to 15 minute mark where they are really strong as a team, really strong. So they need to do 2 things. One, they need to get to the 10-minute mark. They need to bring the bottom lane online, that Sona Lux online, and there's the possibility that they'll just get turbo ganked in the early game and not get to do that. With this composition for MBR, I think that's unlikely. I think they'll probably survive the first 5 minutes pretty comfortably. Then we're going to go to the period of game where Flash Wolves have to win. Because if they don't, you have Varus coming online, you have an incredibly tanky frontline from this Nunu, you have the Riven doing so much damage, and of course you have that Ziggs beginning to stack up sustained damage. With Varus, with Ziggs pumping damage over the top of the front-to-back team comp, it doesn't matter that you're running a ton of stun, that you're running a ton of front-to-back yourself, you are just going to lose to that damage. Sona Lux does not out-damage Ziggs Varus.
It doesn't out-sustain it either, which is the big concern for me for Flash Wolves going into this final game, because they're putting a lot of hope and a lot of faith in that they can cleanly execute and close out the game on that mid-game window. I'm not sure if I'm convinced, because if we saw what happened in Game 2, they had a similar window and they couldn't do it because the Ziggs got to the point where they couldn't even safely take Baron when Ziggs was literally the only champion left alive. So if you're MBR and if you're fans from the Indonesian region, I think you're pretty hopeful about moving on to the next round.
Yeah,
I think it's a very good sign. I do just want to slip one more thing under the wire here. The reason why that mid-game window is so good for Flash Wolves is that Diana. Watch the Diana. If she finds value, Flash Wolves can close this game.
and that is additional homework once again for TJ. Now, I know we didn't think that the Sona Lux would get a 3rd game, but apparently they do up against MBR with that pocket pick in the Nunu and Willem. We're gonna see which team will advance into day 2 of our playoffs and which team will be out of the tournament. Here's Game 3. Casters, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mika. This is the last game, the last series for the day. Flash Wolves up against MBR Esports in a do-or-die match, with MBR going back with Nunu and Willem, synonymous to the name of Alvis.
Yeah, it's a do or die, just as you mentioned, Infinity. That one game that will determine it all. Who will be able to move on and continue their journey in the Sea Champs, or will go home tonight. It's going to be very exciting, considering the fact that both Ziggs and Varus are on the side of MBR. So this is an insanely very high range, long range composition. But for Flash Wolves, the question would always be, how do you try and reach the backline of MBR? They have Cookie. There's only usually 2 answers, either an Olaf, therefore you ignore everything else in front of you with Ragnarok, or a Jarvan 4. Now you have one option. You got the movement speed coming from locking as well to send Bruce with that movement speed, possibly try to get that dash on the board, get that big moonfall. And I think it's a little bit difficult if there's a Nunu that would stand in your way. Absolute Zero to zone away the rest of Flash Wolves, and as well as Onion Knight's flanks or possible chaotic attempts to deter any of the Flash Wolves to push forward.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the backline axis, and I think that's very important for Flash Wolves because, as TJ stated it, it's Varus and Ziggs looking very, very great on top of that pedestal in that late game because of so much damage, and you're looking at Alvis being the frontliners, and Onion King actually is scaling when it comes to damage and sustainability as well. So it is going to be so much difficult, and Flash Wolves needs to get that early game, and now it's Cookie just jumping in top side, flash over the wall, gets to kill first blood.
Axe to the face. Onion gets greeted with that first blood for Flash Wolves, and it was effortless again. This has been the setup since the first two games in this series, where Sarah will win the 1v1. If it's not enough, Cookie's just gonna follow and finish off the kill. And that is something that we didn't see in game number 2. Here comes the first gank.
Snowball, knock up, look at that, and MBR ESPORTS forces the flash away from Eason. Light binding will connect though. Huge earlier, very low, but no mana as you stated, no follow-up. Flash Wolves will not be able to secure the kill onto the ADC of MBR.
I think that's a pretty sweet deal. The fact that Eason burned a flash and a barrier. Alvis can make a turnaround, can basically make a loop on his route and see if they can immediately destroy Eason, eliminate Eason rather.
Ooh.
So close.
So close. Ignite will burn him away to 1 HP, but no follow-up to actually secure the kill. Look at Bruce though. Moonfall connects onto 2. Huge damage coming up, and Cookie will just secure the kill onto Alvis. 1v1. Radiant's up against Cookie, but look at the backside. Tobu comes into the fray, locking as well, and this will be Cookie staying alive. Bruce, very low on HP. Onion King tries to reach him up, but so far so good as Zera locks and intercepts. MBR will not get the kill.
Exactly. This is Cookie with 2 kills. Imagine if Eason is involved, if locking is involved as well. This is the perfect setup for a potential snowbally Cookie on an Olaf, and that's definitely something that MBR doesn't want because CCs don't work on on an Olaf that is currently on Ragnarok mode. So it's going to be a little bit worrisome for basically Airlier and as well as Radiance, who are very incredibly squishy targets.
Yeah, and on top of all that, Ragnarok is not the ultimate that has the longest cooldown, pretty much relatively fast. So I think Cookie will be the center of it all for Flash Wolves. Also, on top of Bruce and Sarah, on how they played in that game number 1 a while ago was phenomenal. And game number 2 was not that great, but I think in this one, Bruce is known to play this Diana very aggressively. And so far, it has shown dividends, getting that first assist or 1 kill into the mid lane up against MBR.
Yeah, remember, this is Bruce's constant go-to, even during their local qualifiers in the Taiwan region. And as well as, again, Diana has enabled Bruce to basically farm from the side lanes, but hold that thought.
Tidal wave, but a snowball will not connect onto anyone. 2 ultimates actually used it down, and MBR ESPORTS holding on. 1 HP for Onion King. Still gonna be alive, but Azera just burns him away with a Ignite. And 3rd kill for Flash Wolves.
A lot of ults burned. Bruce still has the Moonfall. And MBR still has a bunch of ammunition. Oh,
Sarah slashing and dicing, going in, killing down Radiance. Another kill for Flash Wolves. Moonfall gonna be massive from Bruce, and he gets another kill. Alvis will fall.
Again?
Bruce tries to initiate one more, but he misses down as Arlier will live.
Now that was just too close. Again, usually, once the Crescent kicks in, usually you want to move forward to dash to avoid that. And that's exactly what Airlier did. Or rather, what the Varus did. And now the Infernal Drake has been reset once more. Ragnarok is going to be back online, but Bruce's Moonfall is going to be very important. And that's not going to be available, especially MBR. It's just free to pressure via poke. There's 2 poke champions on the opposite side.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how they're able to withstand. As again, there are heals going on so far from Flash Wolves. During the early game, the pokes ain't as significant yet.
And both these teams wants that Infernal Dragon. Both for MBR and Flash Wolves, because it will benefit them a lot in the late game. But we'll see. And so far, Light Binding with a final spark puts Radiant at a very low HP. But the Chain of Corruption locks down Isra as MBR Esports gets a kill on the Flash Wolf. Now Onion King goes back. That's a stun. And Wind Slash will put Bruce in a very low HP. The Ignite will bring him away. But that's a clutch locking with the shield.
I don't think the teams can get Infernal Drake anytime soon, as long as the junglers are still alive. Especially the fact that even though you get one pick, if it's not any of the poke champions on the side of MBR, Flash Wolves will not be able to comfortably take this Infernal. And the same goes for MBR. If you only eliminate locking, there's still the threat, or Sarah, there is still the threat of Cookie re-engaging with the movement speed with the shields and basically barring you down. Bruce as well has been making solo plays on his own. Onion King
has information.
There's a ward.
Yeah. And they noticed this very, very late, and that brush was just disintegrated by that ward. And MBR Esports, no. You know what? Onion King was just a meme in the bot side, just playing around up against Flash Wolves in that net brush. But here it's Bruce going for the Moonfall, connects onto one, knocked up onto Radiance. Light Binding will connect, final spark, a lot of damage. Radiance very low in HP, and Flash Wolves just hovering around, will not get the secured kill once again. They both are just going for damage.
That's the thing. Flash Wolves has burned so many ults. This is the part where MBR can engage.
Yeah, now that's a two-man knock-up, and Onion King just jumps in. But Flash Wolves will secure the Infernal Dragon, and MBR Esports trying to go back, but Azar comes in, slicing and dicing, and now that's a kill, as Radiance will die, and now Tobu will be next, and Sarah will just jump up, but Tobu will just clutch himself with that movement speed, saving himself, but Flash Wolves gets the 2, and also the Infernal Dragon.
Alvis was quite far away. He was busy getting the Rift Scuttler near the Rift Herald. And that's exactly why, you know, Flash Wolves was very brave to basically initiate the Infernal Drake. Jungler opposite, jungler far away. That is their cue. And really good stun coming from Ysera as well to deter Alvis from going near and possibly maybe even getting a steal. And I think at that time, you know, MBR possibly could have gotten a trade Rift Herald for Infernal, but they were really adamant about that first Drake of the game.
Now, Ysera looking for that kill, looking for that hunt, and Bruce will go away, and Moonfall gets the kill. Radiance once again will be slain as Flash Wolves will take it with the Tower First Blood.
Tower First Blood, and on top of that, still keeping the Rift Herald into the mid lane. They can definitely get a second tower down and open up mid, just because Radiance is not around.
Yeah, and Alvis is just there. Snowball zones them away. The Flash Wolves, in the first 9 minutes into the matchup, gets 2 turrets, the Rift Herald, and the Infernal Dragon. Absolutely phenomenal early game here for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, remember game number 2, win conditions. Ysera winning the Onion King 1v1. Cookie swooping in, possibly getting a kill. That just basically happened earlier. And Bruce getting ahead is also one of the win conditions coming from Flash Wolves. And so far, so good. 2-1-3 already on this Diana. One of his best and frequent picks ever since the local qualifiers. And these are basically the conditions set. MBR has to slow down the game. They have the capability of doing so. They have a lot of wave clear in the form of the Varus and as well as the Ziggs. So we'll see. Now, they're going to set up for another dive here. Alvis, can he stop this?
3-man flank of Flash Wolves setting up. Will not do so, but Ysera at their front lines. Just went in for the slice, stuns up Radiance, will not secure the kill, not enough damage. MBR Esports will not lose any members out of that.
Yeah, that's some nasty damage coming from Ysera here. And look at this! We talked about this before. Bruce on the Diana would always farm in the side lanes. And that's exactly how, like on top of kills, that is exactly how he's able to be constantly generating gold And the next time you meet, you'll just be surprised. Like, what is this damage? What is this lead? And we're seeing it now on your screen. There's 2k gold lead in favor of Bruce on this Diana. I feel like Flash Wolves are ready to fight again, as we get to see Cookie down below without the assistance of the double utility just yet. But a dive is inevitable. This is happening.
Flash Wolves going in top side. Alvis jumps up. It's a knock-up, but here it's a 4-man roam that you can't hide. The Flash Wolves will just push them away, and now MBR Esports will lose another turret bot lane.
7k gold lead already for Flash Wolves. And they're slowly creeping in when it comes to map control, even the vision as well, on the side of MBR's jungle. And it's looking really, really good so far for Flash Wolves. We talked about the 3 conditions. Even Cookie getting 303 is a huge bonus itself. So now MBR has no access for this dragon unless they get a kill, unless they bait out ults from Cookie, from Locking, from Bruce perhaps. That is the ideal situation. They can bait out ults most likely because they have a lot of poke. And I think that is the ideal situation that they're going to be looking for.
And they have to, because if Flash Wolves secures the Ocean Dragon, more sustainability for Flash Wolves in the late game. And if they lose it, MBR Esports going to have much more harder time to burst them away. And now Flash Wolves going in, secures the Ocean Dragon title away from MBR Esports, zones away the enemy team with a knock-off, no follow-up though, and Tobu will die, and Flash Wolves will secure another kill for their team.
The slow was there, but the damage was not present.
Onion King
Onion
gonna be
King's gonna
ganked
fall.
up, and now Isser just jumps in, gets a kill, but Ignite burning him away. Onion King will be burned onions, and Flash Wolves will secure another.
Burned onions. I can actually smell it right now.
It's not just any burnt onions, it's caramelized onions.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's fancy onions.
But this is just so crazy now. MBR, they had a phenomenal game, game number 2, where they put Radiance in a champion that is able to play make in the mid lane. And now he doesn't have access to that, basically on the Ziggs, alongside with another poke champion here. Aelure will have to heavily rely on Onion King and Alvis's setups, just to see if they can funnel in all their skill shots. Especially Tobu's bubbles as well are very, very important. But so far, it's looking really dire. There is still that scaling coming from Radiance. We've seen it before. Red side Ziggs able to rain in bombs behind the Baron Pit if ever Flash Wolves attempts to do so. And it's possible because Flash Wolves, they take their time. We're looking into that 20-minute win condition, which is the 4th one for Flash Wolves. And that means Radiance can scale.
Yeah, definitely. And pretty much, MBR Esports needs to hold on. They're only building up to their 2nd core items, and that will boost up the damage from Radiance and earlier. If they could utilize that damage output up against Flash Wolves, they could potentially make this back. But for now, Flash Wolves utilizing their gold lead to pressure in MBR Esports, even if it's their very own jungle.
So they're hoping to possibly find a punish here. But Flash Wolves is always, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get out. If they're fast with their decision to not overstay their welcome, then they're not going to get poked out too much.
No,
They're now being started though.
And MBR Esports is just lying around the corner. If they could do this, half HP for Baron. MBR Esports, you need to do something. Tidal Wave will start this up, though knock up, and this will give information to MBR Esports, but this will be too late as Flash Wolves will get the Baron, and now Alvis enters front lines, tries to disengage the enemy team, and MBR Esports will not do anything about it, will not get the trade, and Flash Wolves is happy with that objective.
Airy, Shields, Solari, Locket, that's... You saw the Mega Inferno Bomb did not do anything at all, despite having... Well, it is not the Ludens Echo into the Rabdons. It is definitely more of that survivability. Therefore, damage output-wise, this Ziggs will definitely need more oomph. And that is exactly what we saw. On top of the thick shields that Flash Wolves had, MBR, their damage output, looking to be a little bit non-existent.
Yeah, it's slower pacing here for the scaling for MBR Esports. I think the Rod of Ages is more so a precautionary measure of how Flash Wolves get this hyper aggression in the early game. And with that said, with that lack of damage, Flash Wolves will get 2 tier 2 turns, potentially even third. But what? Isserl with Ignite burns away Onion King once again.
And that's going to be a 4v5. 40 seconds without Onion King. This is a Baron Siege. This is the game.
Tidal Wave, 2-man knockoff, Chain of Corruption to follow up, but this will not be enough to bring down Flash Wolves. They are flashing and they are howling, and MBR Esports is trying to hold on as the Nexus will be the only one left to defend, as the last inhibitor turret will fall down as well. And Flash Wolves now crashing down. Nexus is half HP. They're going through. They're winning it, and this will change. Flash Wolves will come through and win the series.